Hey everyone, welcome back to Seven Shepherds Farm. Today we just want to do a video that we've been meaning to make ever since we started our YouTube channel and just haven't gotten around to it. It's a rainy day here in Missouri, pouring down actually. So after we got done with our farm chores this morning, we decided to come in and make a video that is long overdue, just by introducing ourselves, telling everybody kind of how this farming journey began, and what led us to farming 1,000 sheep and 1,600 acres. So definitely did not just happen overnight. It's been 11 years in progress, and so today we just kind of want to give you a recap of where it started and how we got to where we are today. We got married in October of 2014, and we knew when we got married and before we got married that we wanted to have a farm someday. We both kind of grew up in farming families, and we knew that we wanted to have our own farm someday. It seemed like a far-fetched goal at the time to farm full-time someday. We didn't think we'd be farming full-time till we retired, honestly. But we were pretty determined that we could try to maybe make it happen sometime in the future. So in 2015, just like right at September of 2015, just like a month before our first anniversary, we bought our first farm. So we bought about 120 acres in an ideal location at the time. It wasn't like necessarily like a dream location, but it was in the right county. It wasn't too far from our families, like 15 minutes from each of our parents. So It was an ideal location.
It was 20 minutes from where we lived at the time. So that was one of the only problems with that farm, but it wasn't that far. So we bought that farm and started looking at cows to put on it because we had both grown up with cows, and sheep never even crossed our mind, honestly, at that point. So we basically looked at some local farms and started buying Hereford heifers from a guy. So we bought 20 Hereford heifers that first year. And this property was mainly wooded, so I think it might have had 20 acres open out of the 120. So that was our first major project. Even before we bought the heifers, we started clearing land off. We probably did
tightening
that for
fences,
maybe 6 months. Yeah, built new perimeter fences and clearing off
basically
land.
That whole first winter. We didn't buy the heifers till the next spring. So
right. So we probably had at least 6 months there where we just cleared off land and tightening up the fences. There was a couple whole line fences we put in brand new. So on that property. So, and then we bought the heifers, like you said, in the spring of 2016 then. So, what else was it?
So basically that was our first farm. We did not enjoy the commute from town to the farm. Like we said, it was about 20-minute drive every day, especially with how much work we were doing to that farm with like all the land clearing and stuff. It just seemed like we were constantly on the road. And then like calving heifers like that first winter, having to go out even in the middle of the night sometimes to like check on heifers that were getting close to calving. It just wasn't ideal. So we decided that, we would like to live on the farm. But again, we knew like in the back of our mind that it wasn't really like where we wanted to live permanently. Like I said, it was an okay area. It just wasn't like our dream location. So in the meantime, from 2016 to sometime in 2017, January of 2017, another farm came for sale that was in our dream location. And so we decided to buy it as well.
Yeah, and in between there, we were getting ready to build a house. We had just kind of decided we were just going to go ahead and move to that first farm. So we had actually cleared off a spot, and we were going to build a house out there. And then the farm we currently live on came for sale like 2 weeks before we truly broke ground on the house. And so we had to hurry up and make up our mind on this one. It was like a one-day decision, basically. So
yeah, from the time it went on the market to the time we signed the papers on it, it was 48 hours, 48 hours.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was like in a dream location for our area. So
land is really hard to find in our area. So any land of any kind of size it's really difficult to find. There's a lot of farmers around and a lot of people that like to hunt, and everybody wants a piece of land. So it's difficult to find. So when we found this one, kind of like Courtney said, in our dream location, we jumped on that and went ahead and bought it, and then scrapped our house plans for a while and renovated a cheaper house that we bought.
Yeah, we sold like our house in town, I guess, to pay for the new farm, basically. And then we bought a very cheap house in another town, even further from the farm, actually.
Yeah.
And we renovated that house and lived there for like a year and a half until we were able to build on this farm.
Yeah.
So
to pay for our farming habit, we had to sell our nicer house and our original house in the town we were living in, and then bought a cheaper house that we fixed up. And so then we had 2 farms and a cheaper house at this point. So
right.
that we fixed up.
So then basically in this time too, we're still like, now we're kind of clear, this new farm that we bought was ready for cows. Like we didn't have to like really do anything because there was already someone leasing it and running cattle. So it didn't take as much work. So we were running, but we bought more cows to run on both farms. So now we're running both farms.
Yeah. Well, the whole first year that we had this new farm, it was under a contract to be leased out. So we honored that contract and just let them lease it out for the remaining year. So that kind of bought us some more time too to buy more cows and get everything set up and kind of finalized on the first farm too. So
yeah, in 2018 then we decided to build a house on our current farm. And while we were in the process of building this house, sometime between like 2018 and 2019, some land that like connected to this farm that we live on came for sale. And so we decided to buy it and we sold our first farm. So in 2019, we sold our first farm that we had bought in 2015, and we bought more land that bordered our farm that we currently live on. So now, as of 2019, we like live on one nice solid piece of land, and
So we have basically 200 acres where we live now. So if you ever had 2 separate farms, even though they were only about 5 minutes from each other, we don't have any equipment. So it seemed like every time I needed a tractor, it was always at the wrong farm. So it's a lot easier.
And winters for like feeding them were hard too, because we actually did not have a barn on this property. So our barn was at the first farm. And so he was like having to go out there to get hay all the time. Yeah, it wasn't ideal to have 2 farms in 2 locations.
It's a lot easier if it's all in one place, that's for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, well, it also, in all this time too, we had several kids. Our first child was born in 2015, right when we bought our first farm. Our second child was born in 2016, right when we bought the farm we currently live on. And our third child was born in 2019, right after we got done building this house and buying the land that connected to this farm. So every time we had a kid, we bought more land. So it's kind of, I don't know how that worked out, but every time we had another baby in those first few years, it seems like we were buying another piece of land. But anyway, so in 2019, we started living on this farm. It just felt more complete. Like it's like, okay, this might be where we end up forever. But before that, we really jumped around a lot. We made a lot of like big decisions in buying and selling a lot of things. So also, I guess to kind of back it up, why we kind of started farming the way we did. So like whenever we first bought a farm and bought cows, we had no money in our budget for like spreading fertilizer and feeding a bunch of grain to our cows. So we really started doing extensive research on how to farm regeneratively so that we wouldn't have to put a lot of cost into farming. So that's kind of what got us started on the regenerative farming path and led us to what we're doing today too.
Yeah. Well, we did spread. We were pretty conventional at first for the first couple of years, and then so we spread like chemical fertilizer and did all, what everybody does essentially. And then 2020 came around and fertilizer prices went up like 2 or 3 times what they originally were, and we had already been kind of wanting to go this direction anyway. So that was just another reason to push us and to go in a more regenerative route. So we completely cold turkeyed the fertilizer and just started rotating everything. We always rotated like once a week, but then we started rotating like every day or every other day our animals, and tried to make up for the fertilizer in that way. So that kind of, that really pushed us into this direction.
And we've never looked back. I'm just joking.
I guess
we really haven't. We've never spread fertilizer again since. But
so that brings us up to like 2020. And throughout this whole time, we both had just regular full-time jobs. I was working in an office job, and you were a teacher. So up until 2020, and then let's see, what was 20?
Well, in 2020, we were still both working full-time jobs. We did that is back whenever we visited Greg Judy's farm for the first time, though. Whenever we really dove into farming regeneratively full-time. We started like going to, we toured Greg Judy's farm. You went to Jeremiah Markway's school. We just kind of started really doing a lot of research, like farm tours and things like that.
Well, for one thing, if I'm going to cut out fertilizer, I got to make sure it works first. So I wanted to go to somebody who hadn't spread fertilizer in probably 25, 30 years. So we went to Greg Judy's farm and see how he could do it without regular fertilizer. So that was kind of also a push in that direction. So once we saw it was possible, then we went ahead and jumped in that way.
Yep. So from 2014 to 2022, we both worked full-time jobs while farming both of these farms, making this farm our home, and only running cows.
Yeah.
And then in January of 2022, after we had our 4th child, Jake decided to quit his full-time job, and I just picked up more hours basically at my job. I wasn't a teacher anymore at this point. I was like doing in-home therapy, so I could pick up like basically as many hours as I wanted to make more money. So I picked up more hours. He quit his job to renovate this little like 1-room schoolhouse on our farm, and we were going to turn that into like a farm-to-table store and start farming more of a variety of animals instead of just the cows. So that was kind of the plan with it. We felt comfortable with him doing the farm work full-time, me working more hours, and then that's kind of what got us started with farming more than just cattle. So that's the year we added sheep.
We added sheep and
pigs, and we started doing meat birds. So because we were going to sell a full variety of meat in our farm store.
We wanted to grow everything we were going to sell in the store, and we wanted to sell a variety of proteins. And so that made it a lot more complicated. There's no way we could have done that while still working full time. Both of us working full time. There's too many different animals. As cows, you can kind of set them, for a few days and forget them at some point. But when you have 3 or 4 different kinds of livestock, you have to be.
Yeah, it definitely became more of like a homestead or a farmstead than just a farm with cattle on it. We were living here, so we thought we should go for it as far as growing a variety of animals. So that was in 2022 that we first, at that point we had pigs, sheep, cows, meat chickens, rabbits, and a milk cow. And Jake was doing this full time while renovating the 1-room schoolhouse to turn it into our farm store.
Yep.
So in August of 2022 is whenever we opened the farm store, and it's been open ever since. It's more of like an honor system type of thing. Like people can just come in, shop for the meat that they want, and then they can, just leave cash in the money box. that's kind of just how we have it set up.
It's not really a real store. I mean, it's a farm store. So
yeah, it runs itself basically. Like we put the meat in the store and then people just come and get it. We've contemplated like shipping the meat and things like that. We don't have like a great processor option for USDA inspected meat around here. So it's definitely something that we'll probably eventually do, but before we could get that off and running is whenever the neighboring farm became available to us, essentially. So that's kind of what, in 2023, January of 2023, the owner of a very large farm that borders our farm, so it's like 1,400 acres, he contacted us.
So his farm manager was going to retire in a year. Is what he told us. So yeah, this was in January of 23, and he was looking for a new farm manager to take over after his current one retired. So we met with him a couple times and then decided to go ahead and take that position. So we both worked there. I worked there full time. You worked there kind of part time.
Yeah, but the reason he contacted us was because whenever he came out to the farm, he liked the way we were doing things on our own farm, and he thought we might be a good fit for managing his farm. That's like kind of how, we weren't really seeking this opportunity. He reached out to us, and then it fell into place beautifully, but that's just kind of how it happened.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah. I was still working, but also on my days off, because I could pretty much make my own hours, I was helping at the new farm to kind of learn how to do things, because whenever the current manager retired in 2024, January 2024, I was planning on being his help full time after that. So.
Yeah, and on that farm we had all cows at that point. So we had a little over 200 cows all throughout the 2023 year. So, and then the farm manager did retire in January 24, and then we took over management of it, and then we ran it with just cows throughout all of 24 and then into 25. And then that's when the owner wanted us to buy into the cattle operation. Instead of just managing it, they wanted us to actually buy into it. So if you remember cattle prices are even higher now, but they were extremely high then as well. So instead of buying all the cows, we wanted to run sheep, because basically financially it just made more sense for us to, instead of taking out an enormous loan for buying all those cows. So he actually just sold all of his cows, and then we went together and bought the sheep for that farm.
So yeah, now instead of managing the neighboring farm or leasing it, with sheep. So when we decided that we were going to be buying into that and leasing it, we decided that we had to cut some things out. It's just us two and 5 young kids. So we had to cut some things out. We couldn't do the whole wide variety of animals anymore if we were going to be running that large of an operation with sheep. So we also made the decision in 2025 to sell our own herd of cows. And then we also got rid of the pigs and the, I guess the rabbits, and we still do chickens. We still raise meat chickens, because that's just a seasonal thing, and it's only for 8 weeks at a time, and then we send them to the processor. So the chickens are easy, but the main thing was the cattle, because that was just a whole different breed, a whole different kind of animal to run. And if we weren't going to have cows over there, we decided to sell ours here too. So
Yeah.
So that kind of changed the direction of the store a little bit too. His brothers, they run a larger cattle operation, so we are still buying beef from them to sell in the store. And then we do have a friend who is providing the pork for us at this time. And then we obviously provide the lamb and chicken. But so the store is kind of still going. It's not exactly the direction we started with, but like I said, with the opportunity to run this large of an operation and do it full time, we just had to change some things.
Yeah, we have to focus on the sheep right now. That's by far our biggest enterprise. So we really have to focus on those and make sure everything's going to go the way it needs to with that operation. All the other stuff was it made a little bit of money, but it wasn't really a huge concern. So yeah, we cut out a lot of the other side projects basically, and the store is kind of on the back burner. It's still operating, but we're definitely not pushing it as hard as we did there for a couple of years. So
yeah, I mean it made money, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it was a side income.
I mean, running this large farm is definitely our main income.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's basically what led us to what we're doing today. So I know like on our YouTube channel, it kind of seems like it just like happened overnight, but it most definitely didn't. Like we made a lot of like really big financial decisions in the last 10 years. We took a lot of risks, and basically we never thought in our 30s we would already be farming full time, but we are, and it's fun.
Yeah, it's always my dream to farm full time, and pretty well every day sitting in my cubicle and be thinking about farming full time. But then finally you get the opportunity, and well, you just couldn't pass it up. So that's what we went for it. But it took us a long time, since basically 2015, 2014. So at least 10, 11 years.
Yeah, and it didn't just happen too by like, if we would have just kept our first farm of 120 acres with cows, we would probably still be working in our office job and farming that farm, which there was nothing wrong with that either.
Right.
I mean, it was a good life too. We were at least had a farm. We had a place to go to get away from the city, but a city. It was like a small town that we lived in, but it felt like a big city. But anyways, basically that was an okay life too, but it wasn't like the end goal where we want it to be. So I guess so basically from 2014 to 2023, we worked full-time jobs, sold and bought a bunch of farms and a bunch of houses, had a bunch of kids. In 2025, we actually had another baby. So, 2024, December 2024. So we have 5 kids now total. Anyways, and they help us. It's really cool to be able to be off in the summertime with them and like have our whole family home. That's pretty awesome. Most families don't get that opportunity, so that's probably my favorite part of why we do it full time, is to spend so much time with the kids. But kind of like why we started YouTube, like why put one more thing on our plate, but we turned to YouTube for almost everything, it seems like, oh, how do you do this? Like, let's look it up on YouTube, or, any kind of like ideas. We just turn to YouTube for it. It seems like we don't have any kind of TV subscriptions. So anyways, we decided that like our life seems interesting enough that maybe other people would want to follow our journey. And plus, like, we would love to look back at these videos someday and, just see where we started. Right. So obviously it would have been fun to like look back on the last 10 years, but why not start now and start documenting what we're doing?
Yeah. There's not that many bigger sheep farms on YouTube. I mean, there's a few, but not too many. So usually it's, a little bit smaller scale. And we're by no means huge, but we have 1,000 sheep, so it's quite a few. So yeah, hopefully that'll be interesting for people to follow along and to watch and see how a little bit bigger operation works, and hopefully we
have we have a lot of room to grow too. I mean, our capacity we think is like 2,000 sheep between our farm and the lease farm. So you guys can kind of like watch us as we grow. Yeah, we'll definitely like admit all the mistakes we make too. I mean, we don't know everything by any means.
Right. But. Yeah, we bought 1,000, a little over 1,000 on that rental farm, but I think it can run probably 1,600 ewes or so. But it also didn't have any fence on it that would hold the sheep. So when we first started, and that was 6 months ago, something like that.
6 months ago.
So over the last 6 months.
Well, we signed the lease, in August of 2025. So
we've been frantically putting up electric fence to hold all the sheep in. So everything was set up for cows, obviously, since it was a cattle farm forever.
And we hate
So-
feeding hay so much that we literally worked from sun up to sundown last week to fence another 120 acres so that we can move the sheep back there to not have to feed hay.
Yeah.
So there is a ton of grass back there. We
Yeah.
just didn't have it fenced.
We're feeding hay right now. It's because we ran out of fenced fields. It's not. We didn't run out of grass. We just don't have anything. We don't have anything more fenced that has grass on it. All the stuff we have fenced right now is they've been over a couple times, so it's pretty well picked over. So.
Yep. So, I mean, yeah, we didn't start YouTube to like quit our jobs. We started YouTube to document our journey. Obviously, if YouTube goes away, we're still going to be farming full time like we are now. But we just thought it'd be fun to put it out there and let other people see our journey, and just something for us to look back on. But so thank you to everybody who does follow along on our channel. It's kind of cool to like get comments and advice from other people that do farm sheep. I know whenever we were just talking about our like silage mess up, like we had somebody who commented some really good advice that we hadn't gotten from anybody else. So without our YouTube channel, we wouldn't have had that advice, and we wouldn't have been able to correct our problem. So anyways, it's been really good. It's been fun, and we look forward to releasing, a video or two every week, and whatever we think is interesting that we're doing, we'll just make some more videos about it. So, well, that's the journey so far.
Hopefully it wasn't too scattered. Hopefully
Yeah. Hopefully you can kind of follow. It's kind of a lot to like think about and then like make a 20-minute video about. But you can kind of follow along. We've been busy the last 11 years, but I don't think we'd have it any other way. So
I keep saying we're gonna have a year of rest. It's gonna be a year of rest, and well, that's never panned out. So we'll just keep trucking.
yeah, maybe when we retire. I guess farmers don't really retire though. So anyways,
This is retired.
This is retired. Okay,
All
well,
right.
thanks for following along on Seven Shepherds Farm, and we do like videos that show more of what we're doing, so this is not our usual video to sit inside in front of a fireplace and talk.
Right.
But since it was a rainy day, it seemed like a good day to cover this kind of content. So anyways, thanks for following along, and we'll see you next time on Seven Shepherds Farm.